Hey, what's going on everyone? This is Big Breeze channel. My name is Amir, and in today's tutorial I'm going to show you for the first time how to create a real-life TUI or text user interface mini software for stock management written in Go language. And I'll be using the Tview package to bring the TUI functionalities. So this is the website, and in the Go website you will find a page dedicated specially for the Tview package. All right, this is just a quick demo. It tells you here that this Go package provides commonly used components for terminal-based user interfaces. You can use different components, so input forms, for example, navigable multicolor text views, editable multi-line text areas, selectable lists, images, grid flexbox, and page layout. So it's really awesome, and you can use all of the methods and the attributes that this package provides you to create your own TUI application. In this video, I'm going just to show you an application that I've created and designed for you guys, just to showcase the Tview and how you can work with this package using different components, functions, and so on. And as always, I'm using Microsoft Windows, and I will be using Visual Studio Code for my code editor. And yeah, that's basically it. This app, by the way, will allow you to add items to your inventory, to delete items, and save your inventory to a JSON file for data persistent or persistent storage. Definitely can use any DBM as you want: PostgreSQL, MongoDB, SQLite, MySQL, whatever. So let me show you a quick demo. That's the main interface. On the left side, you have inventory items, and on the right side, you have your data entry. You have item name, stock, item ID to delete. So for item name, let's say, for instance, Atari 800 XL. As you all know, I love this computer. That was my first computer. Stock, let's say, for instance, 50 pieces. And that's it. Add item, and you can see that it has been added on the left side. If you will delete item, you will have an error message telling you, please enter an item ID to delete. So if you want to delete that item that we have just created, you can go ahead on the third input field and add ID number 3, delete item, and it's deleted. I haven't added the functionality to edit any item, but this is definitely an area for improvement if you want to do that. Of course, if you will hit exit, you will exit the program. Again, if you run the program, you have your main data. Let me just show you also. If we would do Atari 800 XL again, let's do 50 pieces, add item, let's do exit, let's run that again, and you will find that Atari 800 XL with 50 items or 50 pieces in the stock still exists in our database or in our JSON file. And let me tell you that it's always a pleasure to teach anything in Go. Go programming language is one of my favorite programming languages out there. So yeah, Go's simplicity can be underappreciated, unfortunately, today for a lot of reasons. So developers or, students who love Rust very much, or C++ or C#, that's one of the main problems, the trend towards complexity, that many modern languages emphasize features like something like metaprogramming, for example, or concurrency models, or even advanced type systems like in Rust, for instance, that seem more exciting compared to Go's minimalist approach. And Ken Thompson himself, he said this before. He said that when I designed or when I co-designed Go programming language, I had minimalism as philosophy in my head. So he wanted the language to be short, concise, syntax-wise, of course, and in the same time powerful. And this is a very powerful combination for a programming language to have, to be honest. A lot of developers think that because Go focuses on keeping things simple, that means that some might perceive it as limiting or less expressive compared to languages with more syntactic sugar. So yeah, it's really always a pleasure to teach Go, guys, and thank you so much for your interactions in the posts that I do in the community tabs always. And your request for me to do more Go projects was not overlooked. I'm doing one today and expect more of Go projects in the future. Alright guys, so let's go ahead and start coding. Let me just close this tab. And let me go to my folder and let me actually do, well, let's call this project, for instance, inv Go. Right. And let me do main.go here, and let's go ahead and open this with Visual Studio Code as always. All right, and before we get started, guys, because I know you love Visual Studio Code themes, this theme is called Midnight Synth. Okay, Midnight Synth. All right, so before we start coding, let's make sure that we have the Tview library installed. So if we'll get back to the website, you can see that we can add this package using this command. Go ahead and copy this command, open your integrated terminal, and let me show you. If you will try to do that command, you will have an error because you need to create a module file. So to create a module in Go, you would do go mode init and the name of the module. So I'm gonna call that inventory, for instance. Awesome, and you can see that it has been created here. Now, if you will paste that command that we have copied it from the website, hit enter. Great stuff. So if you will check again the module file, first of all, you will see, you will see here that you have a module called inventory with your Go version and requiring all of those packages. This has been, added when you have executed this command. All right, so that's basically everything. So the first thing always that you want to do in any Go application is the package main, of course. Next, you would want to import different libraries. So again, if you would do import and you will import all of the libraries, if they're not going to be used immediately, when you will try to save, they will disappear. So let's say that I want, for instance, the format package, right? Take a look. When I will do Control S, it has been disappeared. But just to explain to you each package that we're going to be using, we're going to write it right away, and I'm going to comment all of those lines out. The first package I need is encoding JSON. So this package actually is going to be used for JSON encoding and decoding, because we're going to be creating a JSON file. We're going to write to that file and retrieve data from the file. Also, I need the format package, which is the most famous package in Go. This is for formatted IO to do printing, scanning, and so on. Also, I need log for errors, to log errors. Also, I need the operating system package for OS functions. Also, I need strconf, which is a very famous one also for converting strings to integers. And the last one is from GitHub, github.com/revo. That's the name of the guy who created this package, Tview. All right, don't do Control S right away. Let's just comment those lines out and we'll return back once we will use them. I want to define an item struct, and this is going to represent an item in our inventory. So I would do type item struct, open close curly braces. Again, this is the item structure that will actually hold the stock information, the name and the quantity. Again, this is the item structure that will actually hold the stock information, the name and the quantity. So we need the name naturally, and that's going to be a string data type. And inside the backticks, you would do JSON and name. So that's the name of the item that's going to be stored as JSON. And why I've done that? Because that's the name of the item, which is going to be stored as JSON. Also, I will need the quantity. So let's change that here to stock, but that's not string. This is an integer. And JSON here is going to be stock, right? That's the quantity of the item in stock, also stored as JSON. So let me add a comment here. Let's say define an item structure that will hold the stock information. I've read some comments, guys, that some of you were saying that I'm writing this from my mind. Of course not. This is of course scripted. I cannot write the whole program for my mind. At least I will need some indications. The next step is the global variables. I need to define global variables to hold the inventory and the file name. So you would use the keyword var, open parentheses, and the first variable is inventory, and the second variable is the inventory file. So we need two variables only. They're going to be in the global scope. So the inventory is going to be a slice to hold inventory items. And the inventory file, that's going to be the file name to store the inventory, right? So those are the two global variables that we need, inventory and inventory file. Next, we need three different functions. One to load inventory, one to save inventory, and one to delete an item. So these are the three functions in the global scope. So let's start by the first one. I'm going to call it load inventory. Needless to say that it's load inventory from JSON file, right? So inside that function, I need to do some checking. So I'm going to say if underscore and error are equal to, so I'm declaring and initializing in the same time, os.stat and passing inside the inventory file. And in case that there is no error, I'm going to check if the file exists. So I'm going to check for data and also error. And I'm going to do os read file. This is one of the main methods, as you know by now, in operating system package. And again, I'm going to pass the inventory file here. So the underscore here, this one, this actually is called a blank identifier. This is something that I've seen only in Go. The blank identifier is used to ignore a value that you don't need to use later in your code. If you're saying if underscore error equal to os.stat inventory file, basically you're saying that the os.stat will return two values, the file information and the error. And whether you only care about whether the file exists or not, you can ignore the file information by assigning it to this underscore, this blank identifier. And by the way, this is genius because this way you're avoiding cluttering your code with variables that you don't use. So it's a very memory efficient way of doing things. But what about if the error is not equal to nil, which means that if there is an error? In that case, I'm going to use the log package .fatal, and I'm going to pass a message. You can say something like error reading inventory file, and then logging whatever the error is. All right. Again, this is complaining because we need to put the log here. All right, awesome. And now I want to decode the JSON into inventory slice. To do that, I'm going to take the JSON package, and there is a method called onMarshal. And I'm going to tell you what onMarshal, actually it's explained here. So onMarshal basically parses the JSON encoding data and stores the result in the value pointed to by v. If v is nil or not a pointer, onMarshal returns an invalid Marshal error. So simply all what we have just read together, simply you're decoding the JSON into the inventory slice. That's all what it is. Hopefully I'm not skipping things, guys. So if anything that I've skipped just by mistake, please let me know in the comments. All right, let's move on to the next step, which is saving inventory. So again, this is a function, and I'm gonna call it save inventory. And here again, you will see the Marshal family from the JSON package. So you want to declare and initialize data and error equal to JSON.Marshal. I'm going just to write everything, and I'm going to explain to you guys because it's kind of difficult to write and explain at the same time. And we're going to pass the inventory slice, not the reference, but the inventory slice itself, then double quotes with a space. All right, so what you're doing now actually is that you're using the Marshal indent method on the JSON package on the inventory, taking second parameter, just double quotes and double quotes with a space. So all this line is for pretty formatting, for indentation basically. All right, this Marshal indent method ensures that the JSON is pretty printed, which means that it adds spaces and new lines for easier reading. It's just for prettier formatting. And we're checking out in case of error. So if error is not equal to nil, we're going to log.fatal. We're going to say here error saving inventory. And whatever that error logged is. Let's just make it like that just to be consistent. And don't worry from that thread line. This is actually because It's not used yet. So data declared and not used. We're going to use it in the next line. Next line is very important actually. So don't forget that we're talking about save inventory. So you have actually your JSON file, you have already some records, right? And you have 2 new records and you want to save them in the JSON file. So basically you're writing JSON data back to the file and you're going to overwrite the old data. So you're going to take the operating system or the OS package and access a method called write file. And the write file method is going to write the JSON data to the file specified by the inventory file, which is your inventory.json file. So as first argument is the inventory file. And what we want to write to the inventory file? Well, we want to write the data. And the third parameter, as you can see here, is perm os.filemode. This actually is going to be 0644. The 0644 is going to set the file permissions. So you as the owner of the program can read and write, while others actually can only read the file. So that's going to override the old inventory data in the file with the new data in data. So 0644. And of course, needless to say that if there is no file already, that's going to create a new file. So it's not only that's going to overwrite data on the old data in the inventory.json file, but also it can create one if it doesn't exist. And you can see here that it tells you that it creates it with permissions perm before unmask. Otherwise, write file truncates it before writing without changing permissions. Now, the last function that we have is to delete an item, and I'm going to call it naturally delete item. And you want to delete an inventory item based on its index. So the index is of integer data type. So first thing in that function is that you want to check if the index is valid or not. Before doing anything, we need to make sure that this index is valid. So you will check out if index is less than 0 or the index is more than or equal to the length of inventory. In that case, you will print invalid item index. Now we're going to exit. So again, don't forget that we're creating a delete item function. So the goal here is to remove an item from the inventory slice at a specific index. All right, and this takes a slice of all elements before the item you want to remove. So it's going to create a new slice that starts from the beginning 0 up to but not including index. So if inventory, for example, has A, B, C, and D, so this is the inventory slice holding different inventory items, and the index is 2, for example, column index, column 2, this is going to give you A and B. All right, that's going to remove the item from the inventory using slicing. And then we're going to do append. So let me actually show you by coding that. So you would say here inventory is equal to append. And inside here we have the inventory with the slice of index, whatever that index is. As I showed you, if you will pass 2, you remove A and B, the first 2 items in that slice. All right, guys, so the append method, this method actually joins the 2 slices. Everything before the index and everything after the index, effectively skipping the item at index. And those 3 dots, you might be thinking, what are those 3 dots? This is a syntax that is used to unpack the slice inventory, index plus 1, so that all the elements inside are appended individually. All right, so this is one way to delete an item by the index. You're actually joining everything before the index and everything after that index to delete that item that you have entered in the UI. Now let's create our main function. And inside the main function, first of all, I want to create a new TUI application. All right, so app here is initialized or declared initialized in the same line, tview.new application. Next, I want to load the existing inventory from the JSON file. So I'm going to invoke the load inventory method. And I want to create a text view that will display the inventory items in the TUI. So I'm going to declare a variable. I'm going to call it inventory list. And that's equal to tview dot new text, new text view, right? And I'm going to have different methods. So first of all, I want to enable dynamic coloring of text, and that's by using a method called setDynamicColors. And inside here, I'm going to pass a Boolean value of true. And also I want to enable word wrapping. So for that, there is a method called setWordWrap. And again, I'm going to set that to true. And I don't know why it's complaining here. Hold on, let's check out. Expected statement found.syntax. All right, that really looks ugly. So maybe you can do like this and can make also like that. Now I want to set the border and title for the inventory list. All of the items saved in your JSON file, we want them to be in that area. So I'm going to take my inventory list variable that I've just created, and I will access a method called setBorder. And I'm going to set that to true. And also we're going to give it a title, set title. And we're going to say inventory items, for instance. Alright guys, for the second part, I wanted just to take a moment to apologize, as I had originally planned to code the next part with you all, but due to some recent health issues with my back, doctors actually have advised me to avoid sitting for long periods of time. And because of this, I will be explaining the second part of the code rather than coding it live for this session. So I hope you understand. I will still aim to make sure the explanation is as clear and helpful as possible. So thank you so much for sticking with me, and I appreciate your support. The next part of the code is very, very easy. So what you want to have here is a function that refreshes the inventory display whenever there are any changes. So you're going to clear the current content of the text view, and you're going to do some checking, and you're going to say here if the inventory is empty, we're going to display this message, no items in inventory. Otherwise, we're going to iterate over the inventory slice, and we're going to print the inventory list in that formatting. So you will have, first of all, the ID of that item. You will have the name of the item and the quantity, or the number of items in stock. And of course, escape sequence for a new line. Next here, we're creating actually 3 different input fields. Don't worry guys, you'll find the GitHub repo link in the description, and you'll find the code heavily commented. So if you have any doubts whatsoever, hopefully the comments that I've left you will clarify any doubts or, obscure areas that you might have. So the first input field, of course, is the item name, then the stock, and the item ID to delete. Next, we'll create a form. And it's very intuitive. So you're adding the name of the item, the quantity or the number of the stock. And in case you decided to delete any item, you will just enter the ID to delete. And we'll have a button, and that's a function that will have a name, the stock, and if the name is not empty and the stock is not empty, we're going to convert the stock number into integer. And if there is an error, we're going to log that, or print that rather, and we're going to quit. Next, we're actually adding the new item to the inventory slice. Then we're going to save the updated inventory. We're refreshing the inventory display. And then we're actually clearing the fields after adding the item. That's actually the small part of the UX of the application. Another button to delete. So we're deleting item, we're creating a function, we're having an ID, and we're making sure that the ID field is not empty. Then again, we're going to convert the ID to an integer, and we'll check if it's valid. And then actually we're invoking the delete item function, and we're passing the ID -1. This is actually for adjustment for zero-based index. So if you want to delete the third item, that's actually index 2. So you're going to pass 3 minus 1 to delete the third item of the second index. All right, and then actually we're printing two things, the inventory list without that item deleted, of course, and also we're printing a message for the user telling them that the item with that ID number has been deleted. And again, with the escape sequence for a new line, then we're refreshing the inventory display after the deletion, then we're clearing the ID input field. And to exit the application, we'll have another button and we're creating a function. Simply, we're taking the app.a method called stop, and that's basically going to exit the application. Now on the right side, we want to set the border again to true. We want to set title manage inventory here, and we'll set the title align tview.align left. So what you're going to do here is a little bit of CSS, if you will. So you're creating a layout using Flex to display the inventory list and the form side by side, like you saw in the demo. So Flex here is equal to tview.newFlex. So what you're actually doing in those three lines, that you're creating a layout using Flex to display the inventory list and the form side by side. You're going to put the inventory list on the left side, and you're going to put the form to add items, to delete items on the right side, again, like you saw in the demo. And don't forget to invoke the refresh inventory method for initial inventory display. And finally, the last line here, 129, you're actually starting your TUI application. Basically, it should be like that, right? Without this. But this is just for error checking. If there is an error, you're invoking the panic with the error. So yeah, that's just for the error checking. But initially you're taking the app.setRoot method, flex, and set that to true.run method, right? So that's Go concise code to put everything on the same line. So with that, you're simply saying, if there is no error, run the application, otherwise panic with the error. And that's everything, guys. So yeah, I really enjoy teaching Go, and your comments and requests for me to do more Go projects makes me very happy. So before we run our application, I wanted to show you, this is the basic Hello World application. Let me just copy this. Let's come here. Let's call this hello.go, right? Let's paste that in. So this is very easy and intuitive to understand, to be honest. So you have here your main function, you have a box. So your application is going to be inside a box like that. And here's going to be written hello world. So the box here, taking the Tview, the application itself, .newBox.set border to set to true, set title and whatever the title is. And yeah, that's the main thing that I've just explained a moment ago. You're actually running your application. So go ahead, open your integrated terminal and do go run hello.go, hit enter, and you should see a box with hello world. Awesome. So now let's go ahead and run our application, go run main.go. All right. And let me open actually here. Let me just minimize a little bit, just to show you that the creation of the JSON file. So we don't have anything. You have here no items in inventory. So item name, let's say Western Digital Hard Drive. The quantity, let's say 1000, and hit add item, and it has been added here on the left side. So you can see that on the left side, the Western Digital Hard Drive has been added to our inventory items, and also the inventory.json file has been created. So to delete, let's go and delete ID number 1. And again, no items in inventory, and that item has been deleted. And if we will check the JSON file, you can see that it has been whipped off. Right, let's add a couple of items actually. Western Digital Hard Drive 1000, add item. Let's do Panasonic headsets, let's say 5000. Right, let's do one more. Let's do PlayStation 5 Pro, let's say here 3000. Add item. Awesome. Now if we will exit the program, All right, that works fine. If you run the app again, you should see all of the items retrieved from your JSON file. And that's it basically, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked that video, please give me a thumbs up, comment in the comment section below, share this video with your friends, and please give me your feedback on this application, what areas that you see that can be improved. Once again, thank you so much for sticking around and watching the whole thing, and I will catch you in the next one. Till then, stay safe and be well. See you later, guys.